I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co.
I'm Professor Meg.
And this is the top 10 games of all time.
Of 2023.
As of 2023.
As of 20.
Of
You're
2023
right.
is a different video.
I think we've said that every time I've said that.
As of 2023. These are the top 10 games of all time as of 2023. This is part of the ongoing series.
According to us.
According to us. Well, obviously, we're not like setting it as a rule. It's not like you have to listen or obey.
Like we researched and...
But we did research.
Well, I know, but I mean like with like a general consensus.
No, there's no general consensus. These are
this
our
is fully
opinions.
my opinion.
Doesn't matter if you agree or not. It just is what it is. But these are the top 10 games of all time. This is part of the full playlist of the top 100 games of all time as of 2023 with caveats accordingly. But you can watch the first video for all the caveats as far as how I put together this list. You can watch the last video for caveats of how she put together her list. Just watch the first few minutes. Just so you don't have to repeat every single thing for people who've already heard and are just waiting for us to go ahead and start this off. I will say a few things, though, before we start off this list. Number one, we'll have timestamps to everything down below because we like to do that. We'll be going through all these very shortly because...
You can click to wherever you would like.
Exactly. If you just want to see what we thought about that one game. And we're not even going to obfuscate. It's not going to be like, number 10.
If you'd like a comprehensive list, you can skim later.
Yeah, you can do all that.
It will be in the description below.
Past that, I am currently running a channel, what's it called? Support. I'm currently running a support drive for the channel. I'll link to that video down below as well. There's a bunch of giveaways. You can win a bunch of all-in copies of games, as well as a bunch of games that...
like what, Alex?
Like what? You can win a Master of the Universe all-in, the Zombicide Undead or Alive all-in, an Oathsworn all-in. You can win a bunch of these options over there, but just by commenting on that video. You can also go ahead and get extra entries.
Are you a board game Santa? How are you giving away all these games?
I mean, you can watch that video. Board game, watch the video, supporting the channel, you can check that out. You could just comment in the video and you'll be eligible. You can also donate to the channel and you get more entries as well. Speaking of which, if you go ahead and we're currently running a bit of a, if we get to $5,000 total donated, I'll be adding a bunch more games to that, including Crimson Scales, including, I keep forgetting this, including Clash of Cultures, including League of Dungeoneers, and possibly a few others.
Maybe
but watch my full, what?
Nothing.
Mousetrap?
Keep going.
Watch my full week in review this past week if you want to go and get the full details of that. And with that, with all that out of the way, let's go and start this off. Do you want to take it away?
Sure.
Number 10.
My number 10 game of all time, as of 2023.
We'll say that every single time just so you don't forget.
It's Cthulhu Death May Die.
It's a good game.
It's a pretty good game. It's a pretty good game. So I'm someone who, my very first board game was Arkham Horror, and the second edition. And so I love the Arkham lore. That was my introduction to anything Arkham, Cthulhu, whatever. And I've loved that world ever since. I think it's just such a fun, spooky mythos to be in. And so this is a game where you're playing cooperatively as these different investigators. And you have different abilities that you pay into, and you are slowly going mad and using that to get more and more effective, but also closer and closer to the brink of death. And it's just a fun minis game where you are moving around the map and trying to meet certain conditions, but usually take out all the baddies, or at least enough to do what else ever you need to be doing. But I also love the variety of characters. It's something that this also shares with Arkham, that there's a whole variety of people that you can pick from that do feel unique. And again, they all feel very much ingrained in that Arkham Cthulhu world. So yeah, I just think it's done really well, both theme and mechanics, which is when it's good.
Yeah, I like this game.
Cthulhu.
I'm a big fan. My number 10 is a small box game, one that's continuously risen for me, and that's Airland and Sea, Critters at War.
I've never played those. You talk about Airland and Sea all the time. I've never played it.
I don't even know if it's your type of game, honestly. I don't know.
Yeah.
I can see you loving it, and I can see you having no interest in it. Airland and Sea is a delightful 18...
Sometimes I play a game, hate it, have no interest in it, and then beg to play it again and again. So
honestly, this is probably that
it'll
category.
Probably be one
this
of
is
those.
probably that category. She'll probably going to play the game, lose the game, which is not even her fault, nothing to do with her. It's just the nature of, if you know the 18 cards in the game better, then you know the 18 cards, so you'll probably play it, lose it, hate it, and then be like, again. Either way,
master it.
Airland and Sea, Critters at War is delightful. It's 18 cards, and it's a back and forth game of just trying to play those 18 cards to win in 2 out of the 3 theaters at war. There's 6 cards for each theater, so you have some information. There's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in each theater, which means if I play the 6 in the Ocean Theater, you know that's gone. It's not in play. The problem is you only have 6 cards in your hand. I have 6 cards in my hand. 6 cards are out of play. So 6 cards are just not in play, and the cards in the game have abilities in them. And the abilities mess with you. So sure, the 6 is better than the 1 in terms of strength, but the 1 does things that the 6 doesn't. The 6 has no abilities, it's just a flat 6. And then the goal of the game is to try to win 2 out of 3 theaters, and there's a few intricacies. The first intricacy is the fact that as you get to know the cards, you can start thinking through, I have this cool card, but I don't have this card, which means that card might be a counter. So I have to think through how this plays out. Just knowing 18 cards is not a large number, but once you know those 18 cards, thinking through how you're going to be countered is a big part of the game. It's very much a mind game of not just what you can do, but how others will get in your way as you play. And then, the clincher to it all is the fact that you can withdraw. When you win a game, when you win those 2 theaters, you get 6 points. And you only need 12 points to win. But if you withdraw, then the opposing player gets fewer points. If I realize I'm not going to win, or if I think I'm not going to win, the earlier you withdraw, the less points the opposing player gets. So it's not just a mind game, but it's a bit of a gambling game. It's got you can fold. You effectively can fold.
I've never played it. It sounds almost like Lost Cities meets Love Letter.
Does Love Letter have a folding mechanic?
It has the abilities.
It has elements of both those.
And where Lost Cities you would pull cards away from.
It has elements of both those. The folding mechanic, though, is something I do not see in games enough, and it takes an already good game and just makes it that much better. This is one of the first reviews I ever did on my channel, the original version, not the cartoon version. The cartoon's so much cuter, I love it. But past that, it's a great game. 2 players, it's so
good.
It's so good. You're number 9.
My number 9.
Also, I wonder what this was last year for me.
I remember you talking about it.
I'm curious, I'm gonna look that up.
My number 9 was a little bit higher last year, but it's still pretty high this year. Dice Miner. I love dice games. I love simple dice games. It's just something that is, I don't want to say filler because it's not a filler, but it's something that you can do that's not complex. I either like going high complexity or something like this. And this one is just great components, that it's something that I love touching. I want to play with it. I want to be doing it. And I just love the puzzle of the different drafting of it. That it is a drafting game where you're trying to just score optimal points, and then each person also gets their own character that they can play as that gets their special action. But it is just such a clean game, and I play it solo, and the solo version of it is so much tougher and harder, and it is just kind of a puzzle where you're trying to hit a certain number of points, but it's so difficult, it still feels rewarding, that it's like doing a Sudoku puzzle with yourself. Oof, I love this game.
This is number 3 for you last year.
I know, it's number 3, now it's number 9. That's not a crazy drop.
It's a huge drop. The game's trash. Utter trash.
Terraforming Mars is trash. That drops down to...
How dare you. This, by the way, was 82 for me last year. This is a big jump. But I just continuously holds up. Game after game, it holds up.
Yeah.
My number 9 is, well, let me see over here. Number 9 is one that we talked about recently, and that's Inish.
Inish!
Which I don't remember what it was last year for me. I think it might have been 3. No, Gloomhaven was 3.
I think it was 5.
It may have been 5. So it's dropped. It's garbage now. It's gone. No, Inish is delightful. But I do think Inish does suffer.
Are we going to trade covers?
Were we still going to trade covers? I'm fine with it. I prefer your cover. You prefer this cover, right?
I'm not sure.
You're not sure anymore? You see? One time we had this conversation. She has the newer version, better cover. Inish is so good. And it does, to a certain extent, suffer a little bit from my lack of desire to play it. I find that for all I want to play all the games in my top 10 right now, Inish is probably a little lower in terms of the preference to play it. But I know it's so good. Every time I play this, I'm like, that's why it's here. That's why it's here, because it's so good. It's clever drafting. It's intricate gameplay. It has that puzzly aspect of that we just talked about over here, where in the game, there's only 16 cards to draft from. That's all there is. There's 16 cards. So you don't even have to remember 18. You have to remember 16 cards and how they're going to mess with you every round. And honestly, I didn't even think of this, but it very much has a similarity of, you know what's possibly in play. You just have to think through how things are going to screw with you as you play through it.
I like it when you can do that in games.
Yeah.
Even in games like Hanabi, when you can kind of look at what cards are out and what must still be available, I really enjoy it.
I enjoy it. I will say I'm very particular. The more a system has and the more you have to learn, the more it actually takes away from the experience.
Yeah.
But if you keep the pool of what's possible limited so that it doesn't require playing it hundreds of hours, but you play a few games of either of these. You play 3 games of Critters at War, you'll already have a good idea of the cards. You play 3 games of Inish, you'll know what's going on. In fact, you're drafting those cards every round. It might take one game. Oh, Geist is so good. Geist. Honestly, like in life, I want to start just saying Geist. When people say like, I want to go to the movies, I'm like, Geist. Just nope, not happening. I'm going to start doing that. People are going to think I'm weird, but that's already the case. So it's delightful. It is delightful. I want a cup. I want a mug that says Geist.
Okay.
So it says Geist. Like, I just turn every time someone says something I don't like. Just cancel. Anyways, And this is great. I think it's incredible. I really hope Matago does put out a big box version at some point, because we've seen a rehashed version of Kemet, we've seen a rehashed version of Cyclades. I want a rehashed version of Inish, because I think...
Deserves it.
I mean...
It absolutely does. It's a wonderful game.
I'm just going to be excited this whole video. You're going to have to deal with it. I'm just going to be like...
This whole video!
I'm going to just stop talking every 3 seconds and just go...
Alright, I gotta get up for this
Number
one.
8.
My number 8, which you may not know what this is by this briefcase, but you might have an idea. It might give you a little hint-a-rooney.
Is it Arkham Horror?
Yes, this is Arkham Horror, the card game. So this is what my card game is stored in, but it's Arkham Horror, the LCG. To me, I played through an entire arc of this game last year, and it was just so satisfying. I do love co-op. Like I said, I love the Lovecraftian universe, and for me,
You
this
designed
game...
this yourself?
It was like a cricket thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Look at that one came off.
Alright, that's a bit
Boo.
of
So now I'm distracted.
Arkham Lovecrafting thing. You played through the
Oh,
whole...
so this was one of the first games that I played like this that has a real memory, where there are certain things that will cause effects, and there are some decisions that you think are throwaway decisions that won't matter, and it actually does matter, and it's just very cool that I really, really loved how that was done. It's extremely difficult, it's extremely punishing, all of your decisions matter. I thoroughly loved this game. I'm going to be diving into it more this year, and I'm very, very excited. I just think it was so well done that for any of the LCGs, Arkham Horror the LCG.
I really want to play the Marvel Champions campaign.
Yeah.
Because Marvel Champions
Sure.
for me was like, that was like around 50-ish
Yeah.
for me. I really like Marvel Champions a lot.
Mm-hmm.
For me, Marvel Champions does have a campaign, and while I prefer Marvel Champions both thematically and mechanically to Arkham Horror, the main thing it's known for is having that degree of immersion and that campaign, that progression.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm curious to see how Marvel Champions holds up.
Yeah, the story of it was great, really well done. I love the cards, I love the world, so for me it's all great.
Yeah.
I would just say a little bit of a content warning that if you're squeamish, there is a lot of art of, I mean, it's Arkham Horror, but it's, you know, art of wounds and things like that, so I would just say that little disclaimer, but that's it.
Yep. My number 8. Where are you putting that one? My number 8 is, I believe, new to me on this list. In fact, this particular copy is, well, we'll see in a second. Anyways, this is new to me entirely for this year. It's not my list last year at all.
Can I show everyone something?
Show me something.
This is my briefcase for Arkham Horror, but on the back I also put a Goosebumps thing so it looks like the Goosebumps briefcase. That's all.
My number 8 is For Northwood. Another small box game making its way into my top 100, my top 10, forget my top 100. But For Northwood is
Wow.
so good. Like, I cannot emphasize how good this game is. I keep telling people to get this one. The reason this is new and shrink is because I keep giving away my copies. So I actually literally just bought a few copies so that I can keep giving them away, not to just random people, but like when I'm traveling with a friend, you have one of them. I would have given Grant one, but Grant, you know, you only had one at the time.
Yeah.
I have a bunch of these now. I just grabbed a few. I was like, you know what? If I'm gonna, you know, have these and travel them and show them to my friends, I'm just gonna give them to my friends and then buy new ones because it's cheap, it's affordable, it's giving you a solo game, it's a solo trick-taking experience. But basically, in the game, solo trick taking, you have 8 realms to kind of win over. And so each realm requires a certain number of tricks. So one realm requires 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 8 tricks being 1. I think it's 1 to 8. It might be 0 to, I think it's 1, it might be 0 to 7. 0 to 7.
Yeah.
So it's 0 to 7 in the game, and you have to win all the realms. Now, there is a scoring system where you don't have to win everything, but that's not fun. You want to win every single one perfectly. And it's solo, so effectively what happens is they play a card, the deck just plays the next card, and you have to play a card from your hand. Which doesn't seem like there's a lot to it, but there's powers and abilities in play as well. You have 4 powers. It's always powers and abilities for me. You have 4 cards that are basically your helpers in the game. And as you win over different kingdoms, you earn them as helpers that you can use them for one time for one round. So you have tons of these abilities that are in play in the game that help you manage and mitigate around what's happening. The game is very variable because you only have 4 helpers each game, and it's from a pool of 24 possible helpers. And then it also gives you a little bit of a solo campaign to go through, which is not really a campaign, episodic more.
Now, which ones have powers and which ones have abilities?
Oh, so the kings have powers, the queens have abilities, the jesters have abilities.
Is this true?
No, of course not.
Okay. I was like, what?
Of course not. Ask a stupid question, get a stupid answer. So it also has an episodic little
I'm too gullible to be sarcastic.
It It has an episodic little campaign going on that gives you ways to mix up the gameplay experience. So suddenly you have rules modifications on top of the game. So it's like, hey, use these 4 characters, the ones that have powers, not abilities. But then also, whenever you win a trick, you have to discard your highest card, or like different little things like that. So it's rules differences. So it's a ton of gameplay packed into a small box. I have played this on an airplane tray table, and it's a bit of a fit, but it does work. I love For Northwood, and I cannot recommend this enough if you are someone who's open to solo games. It's more of a solo game than a trick-taking game. I would say trick-taking is a mechanic, but it's a little different than typical trick-taking. So if you like solo, give it a shot.
Oh, but I would say if you like trick-taking and you want to get into solo, also give it a shot.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
What number are we at?
7. No, yes, yeah, you're 7. You started.
It's heavy. All of these are heavy for me. This is a game that is not the actual game. For me, it's just regular Sleeping Gods, but I do not have that copy here in front of us, so I grabbed this one. But this is a game that I played for the first time this past year. I played it for at least 8 hours straight and wanted to keep going. I did not want to stop, and I was very upset that we had to, and I'm upset since then that I have not played it more. Sleeping Gods is one that I thought I was going to enjoy, and every piece of it I think is done perfectly. Even the part of being co-op and different people running the leader, captain. The captain. I think that it's done really, really well, where everyone kind of has a turn to be in charge, and it's very much shared, but you still have your own characters that are doing their own things. And the way it does keywords and has you connect to the different things that have been going on, you really are building on your own story, and decisions do matter, and things that you do will carry on to like other parts of the game that... I loved this one. I would say of all the co-op games that I've been playing recently that are like this, this is the one that I really, really, really want to play next. I need to play more.
So I really enjoy Sleeping Gods, but I had some complaints with it. Distant Skies supposedly addressed some of the complaints. It's got better combat. You only have 4 characters instead of 8. 4 plus the captain. Which I didn't like having 8. I thought it was overwhelming. I thought it was like, it's too many. It's just too many to keep track of. But they made a lot of changes.
Depending on how many people you're playing with.
Yeah. But to me, this is a game I'd play solo or 2-player. I don't think I'd want to play a 4-player.
I had a really engaging time, and I want to say we played it with more than 4.
More than 4? Wow.
I don't remember now. Yeah. I want to say there's maybe 5 of us.
For me, this type of game, I tend to play at 2 players. Maybe 3.
Maybe it was just 4, exactly.
But, yeah. Either way, I'm excited to play this one.
You know what it was? It was 4 plus Tom was running it. So it was like, Tom was there.
Tom was the captain.
Yeah. So that's why,
Cool. Anyways,
Sleeping Gods.
I want to play Distant Skies. I want to see how that comes out.
I'm so excited.
Alright. My number 7 up to? 7 is going to be, for me, I think it's this one. The Castles of Burgundy.
Yes.
Which is very, very, very good. I love the Castles of Burgundy. I have played this game 86 times this past year alone. And that is, a lot of these have been with the newer version, a lot of these have been online, a lot of these have been with the old version. I still have not played the Vineyard expansion, which I need to do. I really want to get that played already. But I love the Castles of Burgundy. 2 years ago was my number 2 game of all time.
Wow.
Last year it dropped to like maybe 20-ish, something like that. I don't know necessarily why the drop, but again, things happen, it gets rearranged, whatever. But this year it's back up there at number 7. It is not 2, but it's number 7. It is a really, really good game. I have played this. The amount of times I've played Castle of Burgundy in my life, again, this goes back to the Gloomhaven conversation, which we won't get into, but the amount of times I've played Castle of Burgundy in my life is probably 150 to 250. Like I've been playing this before I started logging plays. If I played it 86 times this year alone, I've probably played over 200 plays of this game, and it holds up for me. It is so good. It's basically Stefanfeld. The whole idea of the game itself is you're basically building out your little castle of Burgundy. You're building your little realm. It's dice placement, so every round you're using dice to be able to grab tiles from the central pool or to place them onto your board. And you're trying to mitigate around, and there's a few other actions you can do, but those are the primary 2 actions. All the tiles you can grab vary. You want to augment your farmland. You want to go ahead and get up your seas, your oceans to get you more trade goods. You want to build up the buildings from all the unique abilities they provide. Do you want to get science buildings that are going to give you little tableau benefits? There's so much going on as far as the things to manage and mitigate around in the game. It is my first Stefanfeld game that I have ever played. It is one of the only 2 games from the first batch of games I've gotten of all time. This is one of the only 2 left. Seven Wonders and Castle of Burgundy were my first orders of all I ever made in board games, and those are 2 that are left. Everything else is gone from those first 20 or 30 games that I got. But these ones hold up, and it's not going anywhere anytime soon. This deluxe version from Awakened Realms is, deluxe and delightful, and it's a good game. I recommend it.
Yeah, this didn't make it to my top 20, and...
It didn't?
No, and now I'm not sure why. I feel like that was
I
a mistake.
could have sworn this was in your top 20.
Yeah, it didn't. No, I mean for now.
Yeah.
I don't know why it didn't make it. I do enjoy this game a lot. I play it a lot. I'm not sure what happened there. It just didn't. It got.
Oversights happen.
Yeah, but I think that this game is one of the games that you know exactly how many turns you will have.
Yeah.
You know how many
50
rounds,
dice
how many
placement.
turns, and it's all about action optimization and what you can do there and how many extra tiles you can place from different boons that you get. And I really love games that are like that, where you know exactly how many rounds there will be, and then playing it multiple times and figuring out what else to do. Another one that didn't make my list, which was like my number 22 or 23, was A Feast for Odin. And that one's a very similar one, where you know exactly how many worker placement spots you'll get, and it's all about how you use that to just optimize and adjust around what other people are doing and taking.
This is why. Have you thought about the whole thing we talked about last video? How much your Patreon needs to get to before you do your top 100 games?
No, we haven't talked about that. We will think about that next time.
Next time.
Is it my turn?
Yeah.
Number 6. My number 6 game is a game that I liked a lot, and I really loved it this year.
Number 6?
Number 6.
Wow.
I was surprised when I did my rankings, but Mythic Mischief. This is one that is such a fun puzzle. When I got like all of the expansions for this, I tried all of the different characters. I made my best friend play it. I made her enjoy it. I made her play it with me multiple times.
Completely voluntary.
So voluntary. And the first time I sat her down, I was like, just try this. You're gonna like it. And then if you don't want to play again, you don't have to. And then I made her play again. But I really love this game. It's a game where it's abstract. You're playing on a board where things will change, but there's basically a bad guy moving around, and it's a team of 3 versus 3 where you have different abilities. Everyone has almost the same exact abilities. It's just that they're done in different ways, and then you have special abilities at the bottom, and it's just all about how you use those action points to beat the other person and see what traps you can walk them into before you walk into theirs. And this year we played these 3 catch puzzles. So where it's 3 versus 3, the most people you can catch in one round is 3 of the opponent. And there are these puzzles that Ivy Studio developed that are in one turn you should be able to do it. And something like that I just thought was so fun that it really made this game really jump ahead for me. That I haven't played it enough. When the app came out, I played it a lot, and I played it a lot with Alicia. But I think I haven't played enough recently in like the past few months.
I have 10 plays in 2024 alone.
Wow, from the app?
Yeah, from the app.
Yeah. I gotta get back on the app again. I try not to play games on my phone. I try to stay off my phone.
I will be refilming my top games of 2022, this will be there. But it is one that I worry that playing it too much in the app might ruin it for me. I worry about that. I might need to back off a bit.
Has this one already been in your...
This is already my top 100, yes.
What was it?
I don't know.
But do you remember, like, even generally?
Probably 30-ish, maybe. I mean, if I had to guess, I'd say 37. Let's go ahead and take a look.
I really
we got Mythic
love this
Mischief
game.
is going to be... So Feast for Odin was 21, just outside the top 20.
It was like 22 or 23 for me. That's
Mythic
so
Mischief was 35. Close to 37.
Right.
Oh, I'm not bad, not bad.
Mythic
Okay.
Mischief, number 7?
Number 6.
6.
My number 6, on the other hand, is one that has been always in my top 20 for a long time, and that is Rurik, Dawn of Kiev, currently coming in at number 6.
I want to play this one so bad. I'm so mad.
It's on the list. It's on the list. It's not my fault. It's on the list.
I'm angry.
That's not my problem. Rurik, Dawn of Kiev.
It is actually going to be.
It's going to be my problem. We still have to finish this video. Rurik, Dawn of Kiev is so good. Designed by Stan Skodonsky, put out by Peacekeeper Games. This is, I think, nope, it's not even my favorite area control game. I'm sorry, I still got one more. I still got one more area control. Yeah, I got one more area control game to cover. So it's my second favorite area control game of all time as of right now. The favorite one's actually new.
Blood Rage?
Nope, Blood Rage dropped this year. It was like 45 or something like that. It was dropped. Like bad. It's a crap game at this point.
Let's move on.
Anyways, Rurik, Dawn of Kiev is and it's again, half this video is gonna be like me sighing and how much I enjoy the game. It's a lot of It is a great game that the core premise of the game is there's 2 phases. There's the area control, but then there's the trying to fight for your actual abilities. So what happens is you're going to be basically putting out a person onto one of these tracks over here, but then the other person can go ahead and put you up another person and then knock you out effectively by paying coins or trying to go higher than you. You have these different strength workers that are trying to effectively take various actions. So you're like, okay, great, I want to lock in this action. So I'm going to use my 4 worker and lock in that I can fight this round. And someone else is like, well, I'm going to take my 4 worker and add a coin to it and go higher than you, pushing you down. So you're getting less fighting. And so there's this constant tension of you want to place things out, knowing full well that you're going to be unseated at different points. So it's a little bit of balance of when do you lock it in, when do you not. The problem is getting there first, you win ties. So if I get my 4 there before your 4, it's better for me. So the going there first gives you the edge of a tiebreaker, but going there second gives you the edge of you can just pay to go higher. All the money you have to get the money first. So all the actions, the moving, the mustering, the gathering forces, the taxation, the building buildings, all those things are a decision point. Recently in the top 11 through 20, we covered Cyclades, about how it's area control, but you have to kind of fight to get those actions. This is a different way you fight to get those actions, but it's the same problem. You can theoretically do everything, but you have to fight for the ability to do so. And that 2-part separation of a game, where you have a great area control puzzle, and then a fully separate puzzle as far as how you actually activate all those things, it's just a good game. It's a good game.
Now, this says it's 1 to 4. Have you played it at 1?
I have not played it at 1.
Okay.
I have no interest. I'm not saying it's not good.
Just curious.
I think when it comes to solo games, there are times where I have an interest in trying it, and there's times where I don't. This type of game, it might be the best solo game of all time. From playing the multiplayer experience, I have zero interest in playing this at 1. I'd try it at 2. I don't even think I've done it at 2. I think I've always played it at 3 or 4. But I would try it at 2 while being a little hesitant, but I don't think I would try it at 1. Instinctively. Unless someone responds and be like, actually, it's a great solo game.
Do it, Alex.
Yeah, that's my number 6 game of all time.
All right. My number 5 is nobody's surprise.
Gloomhaven!
No.
Oh.
I dropped it. Dune Imperium.
You still have this higher?
Yeah.
Than Arnak?
Yeah.
Come on.
Oh, yeah, higher than Arnak.
You know
now
I
we're
just
ready
got?
for the weird sounds.
You know what I just got?
What?
Uprising.
Ooh, it just came in.
It just came in. Are we adding another game to our list of games that we're playing with AP?
Yes, please.
Dear Lord, we're never gonna get them done.
I love Dune. I love Dune. I love Dune. I love Dune. It's so good. It's deck building. It's worker placement. It's conflict fighting, battling, and also action selection. And you're going for just 12 points. There's 12 points and that's it, and that's all you're fighting for. And those points are hard to get, and you fight for them, and you do it. And the deck building this is so great. The expansions make it even better. So much more fun to play with. But honestly, I think even the base game stands up for itself. That this game is probably, I started with Ascension. I loved Ascension. That is deck building, and deck building is in my blood. And this is my top deck builder game now.
It's a good game.
Great.
I like it.
So
I had it
great.
around 20ish or so, I think. It's a good
So
game.
great.
To me, Rise of X really makes the game. It brought up a lot for me. The Uprising, is that? No, not Uprising, the new one. There's Rise of X, and then there's... Darn it. What's the other expansion?
It's
going to bother me.
It's purple.
It is purple. Immortality.
Clink.
Immortality. That one to me is complete.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it. I don't mind it.
I love that one too.
Do you?
Yeah, I really enjoy it. I love going up the track that's on the top row.
Yeah.
And like something like true to like card gamer love, someone else who also loves this game is Travis Chance. And when he was here playing games with us, both of us were flipping through our cards doing that like
I hate it.
thing.
I hate it. It's like just the...
This is like a card gamer's dream.
It's a good game. It's a good game.
Really?
My number 5 is the highest rated area control game I have in my collection at the moment. The highest ranked. They're all rated 5s at this point. The highest ranked area control game for me is DEI, which is
Divide
very,
et Impera.
very good. Divide et Impera. This is from Ludus Magnus Studios, and I adore this game. And I think it's so underrated. I don't think people have gotten their hands on this one enough. Like, people who have seem to like it to a large extent, but a lot of people just have not played this one. It is... Again, cue the noises. But this is area control on a whole bunch of different levels, literally, because there's different levels to the board. One of the downsides of the game is you'll have to assemble these boards like little sticky pieces. It's a pain. It is a pain. I will grant you. Try to play someone's copy first so you can love it before you have to go through that process. But you're assembling these different levels of terrain because you're playing on different levels of the map. You can wander around the bottom level. You can try to create these little elevators or grappling hooks to go up to the next level. You have these little pathways across them. You create bridges to move across the terrain. And the entire game is all about the fact that across across 4 rounds of play, there's different goals to score for each round. And they're always related to the core economies of the game. Have resources, have control of these bases, have those many units on the board. But you're trying to look at the various goals, trying to execute on those goals, which are all good for you in general, trying to be mindful to take control of bases, because that will help you with not really deck building, but it's hand management. Every round you're going to play 6 cards from 8 possible cards, every round. But whenever you buy a new card, you get rid of one of your old cards. So you always have 8 possible cards and you can play them. And you could play cards the same round you got them. So if I buy a card as my first action, I can play it as my second action. So you can already start using upgraded cards. The game is short enough that it plays in like an hour and a half generally. I've had games close to the hour range. I'd say it's usually an hour and a half. It gives you so much satisfaction. It is low conflict. It's high control, low conflict. You maybe kill 2 or 3 people a game. Honestly, Rurik has the same thing. They both have the potential for death and murder, but usually go for a lot less of that and a lot more with the control and navigation. It's good. Like these other games, like, you have the area control puzzle, but then you have the puzzle of how you actually do the things. And in this case, it's all about that hand management, trying to be mindful of buy the right cards, get control so you can buy the right cards, because very often there's 4 different card pools. There's a neutral card pool, where the cards get cheaper as you go, but then there's 3 other card pools where you have to have control of certain factions to be able to buy from them, which again is just a satisfying little mini game puzzle going on. I think it's excellent. It's got a ton of expansions. Have not felt the need to play them yet, but I should dive into them at some point. And yeah, I like DEI. It's fantastic. It's my number 5 game of all time.
I have not played DEI, but I would say for table presence, for games that do multiple levels, I think this one does it very well. That sometimes you can have games do multiple levels and it blocks weird, or it blocks like the other side of the table from you. And at least for the 3D aspect, I think that it does do this in a really good way that you can still see everything that's going on.
Although I will say it's worth noting, if you do try this on BGA, because you could play it on Board Game Arena, I personally do not like it on Board Game Arena. I played it once and I thought it was not giving me the same level of experience, which means if you're only experiencing this as Board Game Arena, I think it's worth a physical play.
Okay.
I have the same problem with Blood Rage. I don't know how much of it's an area control problem, because for me the multiple levels is a fact. Whatever it is, It doesn't work for me on Board Game Arena. I don't think it's bad, but I get so much more out of playing in person.
Before we go on to our number 4, something you said made me think of something. So can we have an honorable mention for Lacrimosa?
Lacrimosa, oh.
I think that would have been considered for my top 20 this year. I really enjoy the card purchasing and getting.
It has that exact pool. That's exact mechanism.
You made me think that how you get rid of your original cards.
Yep.
And Lacrimosa is a very, very fun game. Just shout out to it.
It is good. We should play it with AP.
I know, I really
again.
Like Lacrimosa.
Again,
I would play a lot more.
I'm 99% sure Lacrimosa was my top 100. It was not towards the top, but I'm pretty sure it was there.
Yeah, it definitely would have been in my thing to have figured out.
I think it was. Number 4.
My number 4. Why are all my games heavy?
I want to see if Lacrimosa was there.
My number 4 is Too Many Bones by Chip Theory Games. Too Many Bones, is it in this video?
It was in the last video.
Last video. Too Many Bones has already been talked about a bit, but this is a delightful puzzle game where you are going through multiple days, but you have these characters that you're developing with different dice brackets within their little trees, that you're getting better and better abilities the more dice that you're able to slot. And it is also a kind of a choice of how you build out your characters as well, that you can't always do everything for every character, that you can play them through differently at different times and go, feed into different aspects of the things you want to do with them. I've played Duster a few times, and sometimes you can go straight damage, or sometimes you can go into her other more fun abilities. And yeah, for me, I love the most a complex character with abilities that feel strong and fun with what you're doing, especially for a game like this. And I just think that Too Many Bones does it so well. Number 4.
I agree.
Thank you.
Wasn't this 6 last year for you?
I think it came up.
This went up?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Listen, I'm down to play it whenever. I like this game a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Also, looking at my list, I don't think Lacrimosa is on my list, which I feel bad about.
Lacrimosa is good.
I think Lacrimosa should be in my top 100. It's a very good game.
Yep.
Anyways, moving on.
Do you know what you rate is at 4.5?
It's 4.5. Yeah, it should be in my top 100. Anyways, we are going to go to my number 4. Number 4 game of all time is Everdell. Everdell, which is so much fun. And I like the Far Shore one too. I like all the expansions I've played. I've liked. I have not played with most of the expansions though. Everdell is from Starling Games, and it's just a tableau builder in which you're going to be gathering cards to be able to put them into your little meadow. You have 15 cards you can get across the course of the game. The game is 4 rounds across the various seasons, and it's a little bit of worker placement and a little bit of card play as you try to take these actions to ultimately get the best set of cards into your meadow. Mm-hmm. It has a little similarity to Creature Caravans, which you and I played at PAX Unplugged, in the sense that you have a limited number of cards, and so at first it's about about the cheaper cards, and as the game progresses, it's about optimizing the spaces you have left to be able to take advantage of it. But this is a game that has beautiful art, excellent production, from the components to the artwork, to everything about it looks amazing. The giant tree on the table, it's got great table presence, great tree presence, and it's just overall, it gives you a Euro game that is rewarding to play through. It feels a little tight the first time you play through it. This is a game that I did not love after my first play. I felt a little too constricted in the game as I went through it. I was like, I can't get everything done. But then you get to the end, you're like, oh, I actually can get everything done. It changes the way you interact with it. You're like, oh, okay, I may only get 2 cards in the first age, but it's going to escalate. It's going to creep up, and I'm going to build off what I've continued to build. I love the way you can put down a character into your meadow for free if you have the right building for them. Those are extra little fun little twists of hunting down. Like, one of the things I've said, like, I've compared this to Wingspan in the past, and like, the fact that you care about exactly which card you get because you make it a free placement, that really makes that, like, I know the king, the queen, the judge, I know these characters, the farmer, the husband, the wife, all these different things. I know them because they care about each other. And I like that interplay, which is an interesting thing, because in Wingspan or whatever it is, in other games you might just have a pool of cards, but when the cards care about the other cards, it kind of adds a level of fun to finding them. Like, I've been enjoying, it's not in my top 100, but I've been enjoying Fantasy Realms and Marvel Remix, which have that element where you're building a pool of cards that care about each other, and just, it adds a sense of gravitas or care about every single card in the game. So I think Everdell's fantastic. If you are diving into the first time, I think Far Shore is a good entry point, but I also think so is Everdell, versus if you're already a hardcore Everdell fan, I mean, you may already have Far Shore.
And there are a whole bunch of expansions as well that add things to the game. For me, Everdell I enjoy, but I find that the meadow that you choose from is just too static.
That's stagnant?
For me, that's why it's never crossed to me as like a great game, because it just feels a little bit too...
So it's a reasonable complaint. There are many house rules suggested around that. I personally haven't found it to be enough. I acknowledge the issue. I haven't found it to be enough of an issue, but there are a lot of house rules around it because it is a common complaint.
Yeah.
Anyways.
But I do really enjoy it.
Yeah. For number 4.
On to number 3. We're now in the top 3.
The final 3.
The top 3 of all time as of 2023. Alright guys, I know we're all surprised. It's Gloomhaven.
I'm
it's
surprised.
Still here.
Wasn't that your number 1 last year?
I think it was number 3 maybe. I don't know. I'm not sure where it was. It might have been number 1 last year. My number 1 definitely changed. My number 1 is new.
New? Or it's new? We'll see.
Newish to my list.
You're spending too much time balancing that.
Nope, I'm not. It's Gloomhaven. I still love it. We had, like I said, like an hour-long conversation before we started filming, and it was all about Gloomhaven, and basically battling about why it's
not on my top 100 anymore.
Number 3 for me, and
we're not battling what's number 3 for you.
Love it. Sure. The mechanics of it are just still so great to me. The character development is what I dream of in a game. To me, it does everything a campaign game should, with character development of your characters going through multiple levels, becoming more powerful, and for me, it's a wonderful game. I have Crimson Scales. I haven't played a ton of it. That I am going to be playing through that this year, and I know it. So I think that that's a big testament to some games that have dropped on my list compared to something like this. I purposely am excited to set up and get ready and start more of that journey again. So I'm excited to play more. I would love a small box version for Frosthaven, something like Jaws of the Lion. So I want more. I'm still ready to play more and keep going in this world. I am bundling Gloomhaven as all of like the Haven games, including Frosthaven and Jaws of the Lion and all of that. So for me, I do bundle them in my ranking, but yeah, Gloomhaven's still here.
I think it's a fantastic game. Not my top 100. Anyways, my number 3.
Number 3.
Number 3 for me is,
What
I believe, is my number 1 last year. It's dropped for me a drop, and that is Terraforming Mars.
Terraforming Mars.
Which dropped out of your top 10, but for me it dropped away from the number 1, which I think both of us means our number 1 became our number 3. I think, assuming this was your number 1, which I think it was.
Maybe.
I think. Anyways, this is Terraforming Mars. I think it's excellent. I think it's incredible. Similar to what you said, I've played it a little less this past year, and it's not just that I've played it less, it's that my drive to play it has gone down a bit over time. Part of that is from the amount of times I've played it. Part of that is just the amount of other good games out there. So for me, I think Terraforming Mars gives you excellent tableau building, excellent gameplay, a lot of variety. The expansions are kind of hit or miss for me. I am excited because I have Prelude 2 coming, which I'm excited for. I want that. I think I have a bunch of playmats too as well. A bunch of playmats for the game. a bunch. I'm not even a playmat person. I got all the new stuff for the Prelude things. But I think Terraforming Mars is a fantastic experience. I think the expansions you want are Prelude, maybe Prelude 2. The rest are kind of take it or leave it for me. They add to the gameplay a little bit, but they also add to the complexity and the length, so I kind of like end up not playing it the most of the time. But I do have the big box version with all the upgrades that make it look better on the table.
I was gonna say, I've never played with the 3D bits before.
This weekend with AP.
This weekend.
Yeah.
After this.
Yeah. Anyways, I think Terraforming Mars is absolutely incredible. It's been one of my favorite games since I've played it, and it's still holding up just fine for me overall. Despite the drop down to the terriblest of numbers, number 3, it is a good gaming time.
It's got a little bruise from that fall.
Yeah, it's got a little bruise. And to me, it's better than, I think Terraforming Mars, the dice game, is okay. I think Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition has its place with some caveats as to where it's better and why and how. Although I do like Ares Expedition. Have you played Ares Expedition? Have
Yes.
we talked about this? You have.
Yes.
Have you played the Crisis expansion?
No.
Oh, we should do that sometime.
Okay.
Oh, that makes it like co-op kind of.
Nice.
Where things are things are being torn down around you. You have to keep up ahead of. Oh, there are more things being added to the list. I'm sorry. We're never gonna play everything. Anyways, that's my number 3 of all time, Terraforming Mars.
Okay, my number 2 of all time. I feel a little boring about this. I think I have to get up again.
Do it.
I'm so afraid to bump this.
Okay,
Sorry guys, this I do think is a little boring if you watched our list last year, but it is Clank Legacy. This is a game I haven't played since I finished it, but
number 2 last year?
Maybe.
I think so.
I think it still deserves the spot. This game is immaculate. It is the best gaming experience I've ever had. This is a joke that I make, but if I could ever, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, forget a gaming experience, it would be this. Literally just to have the pleasure of playing through it again. I would literally would be willing to pay to forget it, just to do it again and again. Discovering it was so much fun. The people at Acquisitions Inc. are so funny that it was cheeky the whole way through, but also pulled you through the story and you really, really cared. There is Clank Legacy 2 coming that I am so excited to play that. I cannot wait, but this completely deserves to be here. It is one of my favorite games of all time, my number 2, and I highly suggest everyone try it. It is competitive. You are doing some things together, you're fighting against the corporation together, but it is competitive where there will be different things that will happen at the end. Trying to stay spoiler free, but it is classic Clank with some things added to it that would give it that legacy flavor. So if you know Clank, it's a deck building game, extremely fun, and it takes all those elements. Yep. Clank Legacy.
Clank Legacy. My number 2.
Can we put this under Everdell?
Under Everdell is an empty box. You have to be careful about it. My number 2 is exactly where it was for me last year. It is a great game, such a good time. It is a game that I assume you knew was coming because I noticed you did not have the base game box here. We got a man overboard. Man overboard.
Now, Alex, did you do some manual massaging during the video?
Maybe. Why?
Because I saw your number 1 on your paper.
When did you see? You saw my number 1?
Like only right before
Unbelievable.
starting. I was kind of surprised.
So for whatever it's worth,
and this has changed.
For whatever it's worth, the original list had it the right way, and then I went back and forth. And then I'm going back to my original list.
Okay.
So they are literally neck and neck, and it's hard. Anyways, you saw my list.
I don't know what the other one is.
You saw my list.
This is the only game I saw on the list, though. So I don't know what the other one's going to be.
Cthulhu Death May Die was my number 2 last year.
Now I'm like, I want to peek and see what it's going to be. What's the other one?
Look that way. My number 2, Cthulhu Death May Die was the number 2 game of all time last year. It got bumped temporarily to my number 1 this year. Well, my number 1 was my number 1. Then I put Cthulhu Death May Die ahead of it. And then I went back and
Sounds
we'll
like
talk
the
about
BGG rankings.
It is. Honestly, so they are neck and neck. The reason for the distinction is, the reason Cthulhu Death May Die got bumped up is because I play it more. I find that I play it more. I've given more hours to Cthulhu Death May Die, so at first I kind of pumped it up to number 1. Also, I think Cthulhu Death May Die plays better at 2 players. The other one is better, I think, at 3+. And
also, Death May Die, and this was a game we had together, but Death May Die can give you those moments where everyone, 4 people at the table, stand up and high five, and they're so excited that you won. That doesn't happen in competitive games. Even if you won and did something really exciting, other people are like, oh yeah, that was really cool sometimes, or sometimes they're like, uh-huh. So I think that co-op games can just give you such better memories that can then bring it up more in your mind.
So I think the main reason for the back and forth on this title, because I'll go into the back and forth, the main reason, before we even talk about Cthulhu Death May Die, is that ultimately the best scenarios of Cthulhu Death May Die are number 1. The best are. But I don't think that all scenarios in Cthulhu Death May Die are created equal. I think there's a lot of scenarios, and they're all good, and some of them are better. The better ones are my number 1 game of all time. But the other game is consistently a little higher. So that's the main core argument as to why these two are neck to neck and why I've gone back and forth on them. Because if I'm weighing it up against the best experiences I've had, Cthulhu Death May Die has given me better experiences and will give me better experiences. If I'm weighing it up against what's more consistently a slightly better time, the other game does win out. But they are neck and neck. And last year, by the way, I had the same problem. I did the same thing last year, for the record. Last year, I debated putting Cthulhu Death May Die as number 1 over Terraforming Mars. And I went back and forth, and I did the same exact thing. I keep dropping it down a bit, and the reason is the lack of consistency pushes it down to utter garbage. Anyways, my number 2 game of all time, Cthulhu Death May Die, is so good. And the part of the biggest reason for me, as we talked about it when you talked about it, is the variety of characters and the fact that every character has, from a pool of abilities, they have 2 abilities, but then they have a unique ability that makes them feel different. And then you level up by effectively going insane. You consistently get madder and madder, and you get more insane but more powerful. And so it's a constant push and pull as to what's going to happen first. Are you going to go insane and be no longer useful to your team? Or are you going to be powering through enemy hordes because you've unlocked all your abilities and you're going snaking off, using your powers, doing what you need to do while you deal with the scenario? It is so incredibly satisfying to build up, and it has a beautiful arc as you move to the end of the game. It has a beautiful arc where the enemy, the elder one you are fighting against, and every scenario is different. You have different elder ones, different scenarios. You combine the two. You have the combination of your characters, the scenarios, and the elder ones give you the gameplay experience. And so it ramps up because the elder one gets progressively more powerful, to the fact that if you ever looked at their abilities, you'd be like, how will we ever win against this guy? As you kill him, he rises up, gets more stronger. It's insane. But then you've been powering up the whole time too, and so it has a beautiful arc. It meets in a crescendo of absolute power. And almost every game of this that I've won, which I think I probably win around 60-70% of the time, but almost every game that I've won usually involves multiple investigators dying along the way, going out in a blaze of glory, because it's that well balanced and well done. It's great, and it's consistently been, ever since I've played this, I fell in love with this from the moment I played it, and it has consistently been rising in the BGG rankings. I think it's around 60 or so now, but it's been a slow burn, just up and up and up. As time goes on, this is going to get higher. It's going to easily get into the top 50. I wouldn't be surprised if it makes its way to the top 30 over time. Didn't have, I think part of it is, Come On in general has a reputation for like, oh, big box miniature games, and they're not taken as seriously. But more and more word of mouth around this game continuously gets more and more people to try it, to enjoy it. This video should make, granted, it's not number 1, it's number 2, so it's garbage. But it is,
Lay it on fire in the trash.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. It's so good. It's Cthulhu Death May Die, my number 2 game of all time. Briefly my number 1, just not long enough to be here.
I'm surprised. Now I'm like, I don't know what your number 1 is.
I did the same thing last year. Again, I went back and forth. I was like, Terraforming Mars or Cthulhu Death May Die, and it's the same. Stop looking. Stop looking.
I'm just thinking. I'm like,
you're going to see it. You're going to know. I don't even know what yours is. One second. Let me think. Oh,
yeah, I was going to say, do you want to guess what mine is?
Let's take a fun game. So, number 1 game. So, mine, when you see it, you're going to realize. But yours, I can't imagine Oathsworn made its way to number 1. I can't imagine. I don't think they're that high in it. We have a lot of your big box experiences. Campaign stuff. You like campaign things. Crimson Scales, Frosthaven, Isofarian, Madara can't be number 1. Roleplay Adventures is not going to make its way there. We covered...
Well, while you're thinking, something that is sad is the first board game I ever played. I did Pub Meeple, I ranked, and I just went by what I ranked. And Arkham Horror 2nd Edition is not even in my top 20.
Yeah, it happens nice.
I know.
What's the first letter of your
game?
Still a great game.
F?
Frosthaven?
No. I said these were together.
I was like, F. Mine's V, in case you want. Which should be easy.
I was going to say Vagrant Song.
No.
Oh, I know what it is. I know what it is.
I got nothing. What's your game? What's
your number? Should I say what yours is?
No, save mine.
Until you're pulling it
I can go. I'll do my first.
I can guess by the letter.
Okay, go ahead. Do it.
Vindication.
Vindication is my number 1 game of all time. I'm going to have to move the box here because I don't think I can do this well. So we're going to move these guys down and put this guy up over here.
Do you want me to replace it with Gloomhaven?
No, it's okay. Vindication is my number one game of all time. This has consistently been in my top 20 ever since I played it. It's usually hovered around my number 10 or so, but the more I play Vindication, the more it gives me such a satisfying experience every single time I play the game. I just have a good time. It's a puzzle of optimization. It's a puzzle of, here's a core little loop, and then here's all these cards, and you never see, like, I talked about this with Expeditions, I talked about other games, you never see the cards game to game. You see a handful of the cards, and those cards, the companions you get, the relics, the traits, the monsters you fight, they all have different abilities in the way they operate. And so your goal is to take a look at the map, figure out where everything is, figure out what cards are in play, because you can't see them all, but whatever you see, and then try to optimize around what's the best thing for me in this game. What's the thing that's going to drive me towards success? Am I going monster hunting? Am I gathering traits? What do my companions help me with? It is a little bit of a cube pusher as you move cubes around. I think that, I mean, Unsettled is my number 20 game of all time, and Unsettled is fantastic. Unsettled beats Vindication in terms of the story and whatnot, although I will say I have not played with the Chronicles expansion to Vindication. Chronicles adds story and choice and adds more humor and flavor to the game, because as it is, it's kind of more just a dry cube pusher, but with such a fun loop of powers and abilities, and I believe the relics are powers and the traits are abilities. But overall, it is so...
I was gonna say, and we'll do it maybe next year, but it should be a drinking game for the videos. To
powers and abilities!
Every time you say powers and abilities.
I say it a lot. It's been a catchphrase. I need a cup with mug with powers and abilities in it. Yeah. It's been something I like in games for a long time. I like powers and abilities. Give me a core structure, and then let me figure out all the ways to break it with everything in play. Vindication it's got beautiful art, it's got beautiful production, it has completely unnecessary miniatures you will never ever need or use, but hey, miniatures sell games, so there's that. But yeah, it's a good game. It's a good game. The big box over here, I need to still organize it, because I still have to, I recently just got my pack for the game, so I need to, yeah. It's Vindication. It's my number one game of all time. I love it.
Yeah, for me, Vindication is only not on my top 20 because again, it's one of the ones I feel like I need to play more before I put it in there. That one and Expeditions, I felt both belonged up there, but I just need more plays before I can do it.
Oh, you're number one. Because you've gotten a few plays of it.
Yeah.
I'd say like every Friday you probably play it.
My number one game is Final Girl. You guys, there's one game that I've been playing over a year, almost every week. Some weeks I've taken off quite a few, but, you know, I've also played it in my own time when I'm not streaming it. And this game, I told myself, once I'm sick of it, I'll stop streaming it. Once I'm sick of it, we'll change to something different. I'll stop streaming it on Fridays, and that's what I'll do. I'm still not sick of it. I'm still excited. When I go to play, oh, you guys can see my Final Girl collection. Duck your head. Duck down. My whole Final Girl collection is right here. And I'm excited when I pick who I have to play as, what I need to do. So I love this game, so I have my stuff out here, but there are these envelopes that you get for each of the Final Girls that come in the packs, and it's a secret item that you get to open it when you win with that person. So you can see I haven't won with any of these people, and it's one of the things that I love is just that unlocking thing where I know who I've won with and who I haven't won with, and I also love trying to beat all of the different chapters. So each of these boxes is a little movie story horror thing where you're fighting against a killer and in a different environment. So this one is Maple Lane, and you're fighting against Dr. Fright. I think his name is Dr. Fright. Dr. Fright. So you have those two, but then once you have multiples, you can mix and match and play them together. I've done that with quite a few of them as well. I have the Santa's Village and Krampus up here too.
I assume that's a playoff for Freddy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
It's really cool too. So each of these, this one is kind of Nightmare on Elm Street. So the rules are changed based on how to make it feel like that. Each of these changes the rules in different ways to make you feel like you're fighting against those killers in those different environments. And then that way when you mix and match them, it changes the rules in different ways for each other. And it still feels like you're in that place fighting against that killer. Now, the thing I love the most about this game is that your main resource that you have to use is time. Time is what you're using, and it makes sense that you are fighting off as the final girl against a killer, and you're using time to both plan what you're doing, because stopping to think is going to cost you time, which is buying your cards, planning what you're going to do in the future, and then also using the actions costs time, because you're actually taking the time to complete those actions. I just love that idea. Like, it is a simple idea to have that be your resource and be how it works, but I think that it ties together so thematically and also gives you that sense of how scary things are, where it's like, I can't spend too much time planning for this because we need to react now, but I also need to be able to guard myself should he come to attack me. And it's a lot of decisions of how you would be reacting in this type of scenario. There are different victims that are everywhere, and you're also trying to save them, and different good things happen if you do save them, but the killer is also killing them. And that is also very cool that, like, the more people you save, good things will happen to you, but you can also decide not to save people and let the killer go after them if that's ultimately what you need to do to be the final girl and take them out. I love this game.
Yeah, it's a good game. It's very well received. I did my top 10 solo games this year, and the amount of people who are like, well, where's Final Girl? It's like, it's assuming that I just forgot it, which I like Final Girl. It's not top 10 for me.
I really enjoy it.
But, yeah. Anyways, that has been your top 10 games of all time. The epic conclusion of the... What do you call 10 movies in a row? There's not trilogy, not a quadrilogy. Decology.
I was going to say,
Decadology.
like, sequence or something.
It's probably decology. That's what I got. I think Deca's 10.
Yeah.
The epic conclusion of the decology, it's probably not decology, is finally here. This is the top 100 of all time as of 2023. We'll be back next year with the top 100 games of all time as of 2024, because that's the year.
Assuming we all make it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you might be the final girl. Yeah. In any case, and until next... I think it can be taken two ways. I meant you might die and not be here, but you also could be the final girl.
No. I pictured like a zombie apocalypse and I'm actually fighting next year.
Absolutely.
That's where we'll be. We'll report from the bunker.
Solo games will be a little higher on the list. Anyways, until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co.
I'm Professor Meg.
And have a good one.
Bye.